the Photography Online podcast, in partnership with KingJoy Tripods.
Coming up on this month's podcast, we talk about the hotel that refused to display a photograph after finding out it was shot on a smartphone, the official portrait that isn't a portrait, and the country who've banned photographing people without their permission. We look at the unexpected new lens offering from Kase Filters, the wildly popular keychain camera from Kodak, and the photography utility belt that's a little bit different.
And now, please welcome your panellists. A man who tried to focus beyond infinity and ended up with the sharpest shot he's ever got. It's Harry Martin.
Yep, fair enough.
And a man who has a 10-stop neutral density filter permanently attached to his cerebellum. It's James McCormick.
I don't even know what cerebellum is.
And here to keep them both in check, it's Ruth Taylor.
Hey everybody, welcome to our November podcast. I am Ruth, your host, and with me this month, the man who does not know what part of his brain we're talking about, James McCormick. You never heard of a cerebellum, James?
No. Never heard of a 10-stop neutral density either.
Yes, might be the ND filter attached to your brain that's stopping that information coming in. Harry, back with us from the Italian Dolomites. Yes. Welcome back, Harry.
Thank you very much.
Looking nice and comfortable. You've spent a month climbing mountains and all the rest of it. You're just having a bit of a chill out.
I was knackered actually when I got back. Well, mostly because I had to drive from Venice back to the Isle of Skye.
Yeah.
All on my
okay, we had this discussion. For those who do not watch the live show for our Photography Online official supporters, we had this discussion a couple of days ago. Harry's been complaining that he was left to himself to drive all the way back from Venice to the north of Scotland, which to be fair he did do, but also to be fair he did have a couple of offers of assistance, which I think you're regretting not having picked up on now. And you did a bit of an epic at the end, didn't you? You were kind of close to home, and then what happened?
Well, I literally had gotten within 150 miles, and I had to get a train from central Scotland back up to the north, and just got stuck for hours because we can't work trains in the UK.
Yeah, to be fair, there was a lot of storm activity in the previous few days. But anyway, good to have you back, Harry. James as well. How's your month been, James, since the podcast listeners last saw you?
I think it was 2 months ago that the podcast listeners last heard
you're right.
me.
We had Chris Salen and Marcus.
We got somebody who actually knows what they're on about for once.
Someone who managed to beat Marcus. Oh, no, sorry, not beat Marcus. Someone who Marcus managed to beat. No offence to Chris.
On a technicality, I understand it.
Well, 4 technicalities if you're going to go down that route. No, to be fair, Marcus was trying a new technique, shall we call it. I'm not sure if it's a technique or not, and I'd be curious if he actually brings it back next time he's on. And if you haven't listened to it, do go back and check out the October podcast, because yeah, that was good fun. Anyway, we're going to have good fun on this one as well. We've got our usual news stories coming up. We do have the quiz, of course. I don't actually, because I'm recording from somewhere slightly different today, I don't have my annual quiz kind of, so I can tell you how you're doing in the rankings and stuff. But next month, at the end of the year, we'll do a bit of a tie-up and see who's at the top, who's at the bottom. I might even do prizes. I don't know. What do you reckon? Would that be an incentive, do you reckon?
Well, I'm sorry, Ruth.
It was a bit late now for lots of you.
For those that watch the YouTube show, we, Harry, Nick, Marcus and I, competed the most tremendous challenge, and we're still awaiting prizes for that. And we got diddly squat, zip, nothing.
There was absolutely no mention of prizes on that one.
Well, you eluded and led us up a garden path and on a wild goose chase, as is your way.
Yes, as is my way. But you never know. I might fork out, buy you something for the next one. I don't know who's at the top, actually. I actually went on to the computer and started typing in. You can't just say who's the winner. You have to say, based on the amount of quizzes you've participated in, who is the best overall. So I'm going to do that for the December quiz and see how you go. Anyway,
I can't wait for another pair of socks with the team's faces on them, because that's the last thing you ever bought me.
And did you ever wear them, James?
No, they're framed.
Right, okay, excellent. Well, send them back if you want to, because I would happily accept socks for Christmas. I'm running out. Holes getting in all of them. Anyway, moving on. We will have some Christmas present ideas, I think, on the gear section today and probably next month as well. But we are going to start off, as usual, in the news. Story number 1, Harry, what have you found?
Well, let's start off nice and controversial. And this is the story of the new presidential Walk of Fame in the White House. And Trump being Trump and has lined everybody up very nicely, all the way up until President Biden in the previous term, and his official portrait's been replaced with a framed picture of an auto pen signing the Biden signature. And well, first of all, I didn't know what an auto pen was.
Which I'm surprised by, because I do see your signature on many things, but you like doing things by hand, don't you, Harry?
Yeah, if I have to do it, it's done manually. And so I didn't know that there was a way to, without digitally printing it, that actually gets it signed. So, I mean, I've
a Christmas gift idea for you, for all the autographs I know you have to sign.
Yeah, I've learned something there. But it's obviously interesting that he feels that a photograph has that much power in a lineup, in a place where very, very few people are ever going to see that line of photographs in the flesh, and it's only because it's been shared on social media that it's gained quite a bit of traction.
Deliberately shared by him.
Deliberately shared, yeah, and it wasn't a leak, but it was shared by a member of his press office, I believe, of the wall, and of him walking along and then looking at the auto pen photograph, contemplating it. But this morning there's a secondary story which I thought was quite interesting, because it's Trump claiming or saying that the current magazine cover shot is the worst of all time, and it is a photograph of Trump.
This is Time magazine.
I'm going to have a look, Harry, hang on.
I've got the quote here. The picture may be the worst of all time. They had something floating on top of my head like a floating crown, but an extremely small one. Never liked taking pictures from the underneath angle. Super bad picture, deserves to be called out.
He's got a point. He might just be right.
It is a pretty terrible photograph.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
Why they decided to shoot from that angle for this particular one.
Yeah, we were just saying earlier that kind of angle, like James was saying, is well used for, powerful figures, and perhaps if he looked a little bit a little bit different, then it would have maybe worked for him. But he's right, it's not. I don't see the crown he's talking about. I think he's maybe reading into that, or else I'm just not seeing it. But he's certainly got a halo up there.
Yeah, I mean, his hair looks even weirder than it normally does. It's you can see how thin it is, and it's weird.
Listen,
it's just
you
not,
leave
not
people
alone
shot, with thin hair, Harry. In fact, the pair of you can just back off. Us despots with thin hair are quite happy.
No, but I was just saying, James, you're a portrait photographer, and people who are into that at all, they know the angles that work for certain things, for jawlines, for hair, for all the rest of it. That in general is not a shot you would take of someone that you wanted to flatter, but it is a shot that you quite often would see of, like I said, powerful figures. But this, I think, in this, they've obviously chosen one over the other, and it's anyway, it's not a shot that he appreciates, but the auto pen story was unexpected.
They've got a quote from another photographer to add to that, which a photographer from according to the Metro, photographer Matt Sweetwood says that no one takes a picture of a world leader up the nostril. It's deliberate, it's awful, and it's evil.
Evil,
which,
wow.
As we've just said, it's quite a common angle to photograph powerful people from, and it's definitely been used before with varying world leaders, but as with everything, it's probably going to get politicised a little bit.
All right, well, let's leave that story behind. As always, there is going to be links to all the stories that we're talking about from the news section, gear section as well, in the show notes. Do check those out. But let's move on to our second story. James, what have you got?
Well, it's about a hotel that's bought a picture to display on its premises, and it bought the rights to it, paid for it, had it printed, framed, whatever. And then it discovered that it was actually shot on an iPhone and is now refusing to display it. That's up to the individual that's running the hotel or whatever it is, or their media department. But it opens a wider question as to whether photographs on iPhones are as valid as photographs taken on other photographic equipment. And of course, the answer to that is yes, they are, as long as they're not too heavily manipulated, in which case we move away from photos to other forms of digital creation. But it is a photo if it's taken on an iPhone. It doesn't matter what camera you take it on. I'm a big believer in just taking as many pictures as you can. And most people have phones with them the whole time. And the irony of it is that I think is extraordinary, is that Apple over the last few years, and I can't quite remember how many years it is, but it's certainly 3 or 4. One of their main ad campaigns is called Shot on iPhone, because the only real difference from iPhone to iPhone year after year is, the cameras tend to get better. Everything else might improve slightly, but it's the cameras that tend to leap forward year on year. So have they got a valid point? No. Are they seeking attention and achieving it? Yes. So it might be cynical. My cynical side comes out and thinks that might be why they're doing it. But it is absolutely a picture that's, as far as I'm aware, it's not been overly manipulated or anything. So of course it's a photo, and I think it's just being a bit silly to think otherwise.
And it's a lovely photograph as well. It looks actually something like Marcus and you would shoot for Cafe Nero, that sort of person standing in a market,
yep.
Black and white. And I mean, it's not like on the photograph somewhere at the bottom is Apple's brand tagline saying shot on iPhone.
Well, it also looks like, those pictures you're referring to that Marcus and I have shot, literally thousands of over the years, and it probably is into the thousands now, and I still see them all the time. One of the things that we do with those pictures is they are shot on modern DSLRs. I don't think we've ever shot one on a mirrorless piece of sinful equipment yet, but they are shot on modern DSLRs. And one of the things we do is back off the sharpness, is back off the quality in post-production, funnily enough, to give them a slightly retro-ish feel. And that's what this picture has. Indeed, this picture, it doesn't look at all that it's like shot on an iPhone. It could have been shot, I don't know, the 50s, maybe. It's got a 60s vibe to it in terms of its tones.
Absolutely,
it's got a David Bailey feel about it, the linear lines and the black and white feel to it. So, it's a nice piece of work, basically.
Well, what I find interesting is that it's not like he went up to them and said, I've got these photographs, and they were shot on iPhone, and they said, yeah, no thanks. They were shown to the hotel, they bought them, they framed them, they decided they were good enough for their 5-star hotel. And then when he happened to mention later on, just randomly, that they were shot on an iPhone, that's when they decided. As if, I suppose, people might have gone up to them and wondered, I wonder what this was shot on. They'd have to say, it was an iPhone.
Yeah, no, he didn't. The
photographer
didn't mislead in any way at all, according to the varying articles.
So it's very much, if it's found out, we will be thought less of because we are a hotel of a certain standard. Therefore, but at the same time, it's not going to be, like you say, it's not going to be written on it. It's not going to be said shown on iPhone. So is it a snooty thing? Because like you said, I've seen pictures from Marcus anyway, shot on iPhone, printed large, which you would have no idea what they were done on. And, we're going to be talking about, or we have talked about cameras in the past, which give you certain looks, certain effects, which look far closer to an iPhone, but were shot on a real camera. And is that okay? So it's a snobbery thing. I think it probably, What do you think, James?
It's just plain silly, really. It's a nice image. I can imagine it sitting well in a hotel somewhere. It's classic, got a classic feel to it. So my suspicions are that maybe someone's doing a little bit of attention seeking, but it does open a wider point about whether pictures shot on camera phones are valid. And of course, the answer to that is 100% resounding yes. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So have either of you, when you've obviously sold images to commercial clients, been asked what is your gear, or do they purely base it on the quality of what you're giving them back at the end of the day?
I don't think I've ever been asked that question. When they get in touch and describe what they want and you say, oh, yep, I can deliver that, then they often take your word for it, that you're a competent professional and you can deliver whatever you say you're going to deliver.
Yeah, so I guess the simple answer to that is I don't do a lot of after sales. It's all commission work that I do. So you do sometimes get asked, what equipment are you going to use, at which point the conversation comes to a swift end, because I'll ask them, where are you actually going to use the picture? And then I will shoot to suit the end usage, basically. So it's irrelevant. You don't ask a mechanic what brand of spanners he's going to use, do you? So I don't think you ask your hairdresser what the scissors are, Ruth, do you? Or maybe you do.
If they do a very good job, you never know. I do ask about certain other products they use. So,
but that's from a health perspective, just to clear that up, probably, because you do patch testing. You see, I know all about these things.
That's not where I was going, but I'll let you live in your delusion that you're good at all this stuff. Anyway, there we go. It's an interesting story, and I'm sure there's comments, obviously, on that underneath the story that we found, and you might have something to add to that, so do feel free. Let us know what you think. Our final story for today, James, is one that is pretty... I've not heard of anything like this, certainly on a nationwide scale. Tell us about this.
It's basically about the country of Uzbekistan is set to ban photographing people without permission. So in other words, if you go out into the street and you just, I don't know, you're taking pictures out and about in the village or town or city where you live, you have to ask every individual for pictures. Now, I don't think it's just based upon commercial use either. It's just you must get people's permissions. I suppose the way to phrase it, it would be a wider privacy issue in the country of Uzbekistan and an individual's right to be able to walk through the street without being photographed. I'd be interested to know what Uzbekistan's policy on surveillance is and cameras from the government. I suspect it might be slightly different, but for this, it's basically about tourists taking pictures, or not just tourists, I suppose. Even if you live in your local area, you have to go up. If ever somebody's in your picture, go up and ask their permission. Can you take it? Which opens up an enormous can of worms, both in terms of administering this law or the potential legalities of it, or criminalising a lot of people that are really not doing anything criminal. But for me, it's more about where this law in Uzbekistan would take us in the rest of the world, and even for Uzbekistan itself, in 50 years or 100 years' time, where you're going to have no pictures of people on the streets, you're going to have no history, what's the Henri Cartier-Bresson of today, the Uzbekistani version of him going to do? There will be no way to look back. There will be no history, no heritage, no images stored, and that's a worrying feeling, I guess, more than anything else.
Marcus and James, obviously together, that's what you do. You're on the street, you take shots of people doing what they're doing. If you had to go up after the fact, or before the fact would ruin the whole idea of what you're trying to shoot. After the fact would be a mess.
Yeah, precisely. Before the fact and after the fact is a very good point. And interestingly, as I said, that this is not talking about even commercial use or anything like that, which I can sort of understand. And the basic rules are at the moment that as long as you're not being derogatory in usage of your picture and somebody's not, front centre of an image, you can kind of use it. But, before the fact, what are you going to do? It's not practical. After the fact, also not practical. But it opens, it's just we have to be careful with where legislation is going. Big government is taking these things, and I don't know a huge amount about Uzbekistan's politics, but we need to keep an eye on these things in our own countries. And I suppose if Uzbekistan implements it, we clearly would have to respect it in that country if ever I found myself there. But I'm hoping it doesn't roll out further and wider.
That's my primary concern, is that it's a dangerous precedent that would then be easy for other countries to follow, I think. Of course, we have a right to privacy and having a choice of whether we're recorded. And that's where, if it's commercial style photography, you need the model releases and you need permission. But what's quite unclear about so far, all we've read about this new law, there's not much clarification on, well, what if it's a big crowd of people where identities are not that clear? Because you can't get permission from every single person in a crowd of 500, 1,000, 2,000 people strong. So you imagine for journalists working, or photojournalists working in the country now, they're going to be really quite unnerved at how this is going to affect how they're going to take photographs now in the future. What if there is a protest in Uzbekistan, in the capital city, which they're covering, and they think, well, hold on, I've got to try and manage 10,000 model releases essentially, which would be, it's impossible. So it will be, I'm going to keep an eye out for updates on this story, because it's going to be interesting to see the direction this takes and how it's actually implemented. Yep.
It just makes me think about that kiss cam couple at the Coldplay concert. Now, I know they weren't technically in public, but it just makes me smile.
Cited as a motivator for this law potentially is that a series of scandals involving corrupt police and officials had been caught on camera, and that this may have been the potential instigator of...
Yeah, so in other words, it will be used when convenient.
Anyway, it's a fascinating story, and like Harry said, one that's kind of just come to light. So there will be, I'm sure, updates on that over the next few weeks and months. So we'll keep an eye on it as well, let you know if anything changes there. But we're going to leave the news stories behind and move on to my very favourite part of the podcast.
The Photography Online Podcast Quiz.
Yeah, welcome back to our 11th pop quiz. It's November, blimey, we're getting close to a year worth of pop quizzes. It's the Photography Online podcast quiz where I ask our two panellists 5 photography related questions, and you guys of course can play along as well at home. Answers will be revealed at the end. 5 rounds, each one worth a point for the correct or the closest answer, and in the event of a tie, which I don't think has happened yet actually, not altogether at least, both you receive the point. The winner gets nothing. Now obviously James is annoyed by that in our main show. No incentive at all, but you know, James, just personal pride and all that stuff.
Well, that disappeared with my hairline, Ruth.
I was going to say something and I shan't. Anyway, yes, it is the pop quiz. Harry, you looking forward to it?
I want to continue my winning streak. I might have lost one.
I wish I could tell you. I wish I had my thing up to hand, but no, I'm not sure. But you're obviously... I remember you won a couple. Certainly when you played against Marcus, you were winning there, and the same goes for anyone.
That's been my main motivator. I'm kind of don't care now that he's
No, Harry, no. Should we just call it a draw, Harry, and we'll move on to the next feature?
Yeah, save a bit of time.
Yeah, you should be so lucky. Anyway, let's go for our first question.
Round 1. Multiple choice.
All right, well, in this round, I am going to ask a question which is slightly difficult. So to help you out, there are 4 possible answers. All I need you to do is tell me which one you think is the correct answer. Okay, here we go. Here's the question. Which camera body was the best-selling globally in 2024? You have choices. A, Nikon Z6 III. B, Canon EOS R6 Mark II. C, the Sony Alpha 7C II, or D, the Fujifilm X100
Well, it's definitely not going to be Nikon, is it? So,
Harry.
As soon as I read that out, Harry was just shaking his head.
I know this one. So,
Do you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just run them through for our audience one more time, Ruth.
Okay, for the audience's sake, the 4 possible answers are A, the Nikon Z6 III, B, the Canon EOS R6 Mark II, C, the Sony Alpha 7C II, or D, the Fujifilm X100.
It's out of 2, isn't it?
Well, it's out of 4 technically.
Yes,
well,
all right,
he's
but
obviously
2 of them
dismissed
don't
2.
count.
Oh, right, okay, okay, interesting. Right, okay, well, let's move on to round 2.
Round 2. Name the year.
All right, I know you chaps love this one. In this round, the answer to the question is obviously a year. The round goes to whoever gets the closest answer, but if either of you gives me the exact year, which nobody has done yet, you get a bonus point. Here's the question. In what year was the first self-portrait taken?
Oh, I wonder if it was,
Various rubbings of beards and hairlines going on. James, you got an answer there?
Yeah, I've done it, yeah.
Okay, moving on to round 3.
Round 3. Artificial intelligence.
So ChatGPT is the hero or not of this round. Basically, I am asking artificial intelligence to describe a photographic object, person, or practice without mentioning the name of the subject. All I need you to do is tell me what I asked it to talk about. Are you ready?
A shadow in your pocket. It dims the light without changing the color of the world. It allows time to stretch, waterfalls to melt into silk, and crowds to vanish into ghostly whispers, all while the sun blazes overhead.
Well, at least we're going to get a point each, Harry, I reckon.
Yeah,
I think AI is
even
getting
my dodgy
easier.
cerebellum can get that one, I think.
It's getting easier, I think, for that one. Potentially. Hopefully, you've not got something.
I'm sure
vastly...
Marcus would come up with some wacky answer and then complain that.
Exactly.
It was a bad cue.
Yeah. Anyway, that was artificial intelligence. Let's go on to round 4.
Round 4. Take a wild guess.
All right, well, as the name suggests, this round requires an answer which could be almost anything, so you're unlikely to get it exact. You will need to take a wild guess. As with round 2, the point goes to whomever gets the closest to the answer, and although unlikely, if you do get it exact, there are 2 bonus points. Question: how many drone pilots were registered in the UK as of the end of 2024?
Cool.
This is take a wild guess.
It is a wild guess.
Funny enough, Ruth, I've been looking into this because they're about to change the legislation at the beginning of next year, so I've got a pretty good idea.
Okay, interesting. Good. We see many of them up here, quite often smashed on the ground. Someone was asking me the other day, do you do a lot of drone photography like as a team? And I said, on Sky, it's just not the most practical environment weather-wise. But many do, and we do see them around. So this is how many drone pilots were registered in the UK as of the end of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, got something?
Yeah, I'm reasonably well.
Something.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay. Well, let's move on to our final question.
Round 5. Where in the world?
Okay, this final round, as much a geography question as a photography one. The location, typically a well-known hotspot for photography. Here is the description. This bridge is one of the most famous and recognisable in the world. It was completed under budget and early in 1937 and replaced a popular ferry service. A safety net to catch falling workers only saved 19 of the 30 men who fell during its construction. It's the 9th most Instagrammed subject in its country with over 2 million tags. But where is it?
Well, it's a bridge, I think.
Nice
Got
done,
that
nicely
from the
done.
beginning of that, did you?
Something bridge. I think
You're not getting a half point for that,
I
by
think
the way.
I know. Well,
Harry, I'll give you a clue because I know the answer.
I'd forgotten the actual name of it, but I've got it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You've all got something? James, you sounded confident
Yeah,
there.
I think so. Only because of the year more than anything else.
Right, okay. I don't think you were around back then, but obviously he knows something. Anyway, right, okay, let's go through and see how you guys got on. Round 1 was multiple choice, and I was asking which camera body was the best-selling globally in 2024. Harry, you've got yours on your phone. What did you have?
It was the Fuji X100 thing, yeah. Because it's
Yeah,
like
wait! Don't justify it until James gives us
No,
his one.
I went.
He's changing it. Are you changing it?
No, I've written C. I did have the R6, but then I thought not a lot of people bought the R6 because they already had the R6. So I went for C, the Sony.
Well, it was D, the Fuji. Harry was right. It sold 740,000 units. The Canon, the EOS R6, it was the top-selling full-frame camera in the US, and the Sony was the top-selling full-frame mirrorless camera in Japan.
Well, you said the question with an American accent. I didn't write the R6 anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed like the R6 would have been the most sort of popular of Canon's cameras, but
How do you know that? You're cheating. How do you know that?
No, because we covered it as news stories that it had completely backed up. So
it was the top-selling camera altogether in the US, full frame. That was the Canon, so not just on Canon's side of things.
But yeah, it was big news.
1-0. Yeah, it was. There was quite a lot on the podcast about how well it was doing, but I'd say if pressed, I wouldn't have known it was perhaps worldwide in the end of the day. But anyway, yeah, so round 2, this was Name the Year, and I was asking when was the first self-portrait taken?
I want to change my answer.
James, do you? Do you want to change it now before anyone says anything?
If you just see I held up my bit of paper.
No, you didn't, James.
No, I can't. I've changed it by 10 years. I've gone because Ruth's seen my original answer. I've gone 10 years up.
Right, okay. Well, let's go, James. James, what did you have?
Well, I've got to go with what I've written down now. He's making me sweat.
Yes, please.
1840.
Come on. Right, okay.
Oh, no.
Harry?
1840 was my original answer, and I've just changed it to 1850. I think I should have stuck with my gut instinct. I've done a Marcus. And
it's a pinholey thing, I think.
Yeah.
You both happy with your answers?
Well, no, but
not.
I can't.
No, it's too late now. That's what you put down.
Now.
Okay, so the correct answer was 1839. So,
is it? Do I get a bonus point for that?
No, it's not exact.
You're still closest. You're still closest, though. So congratulations, James. Commiserations, Harry. Actually, that. It's always slightly awkward when people choose the same year, though. We need to, yeah. Anyway, so James got the point for that, but not 2 points. Round 3 was artificial intelligence. What was I asking ChatGPT to talk about? You were both very confident.
Well,
we
were confident. I think I would imagine.
James's cerebellum.
Yes, exactly. What blocks my general view of the world? An ND filter.
Harry?
Yeah, got the same.
Okay, you're both correct, so both get the point for that one. Round 4 was take a wild guess. How many drone pilots were registered in the UK as of the end of 2024? Now, this is the closest to, please, so give me your answers, please. James, you can go.
I think it's around about 500,000.
I need an exact...
Well, I've written 500,000.
500,000. Okay, right. Harry?
I went for 600,000.
The answer was 365,271. So again, James,
excellent. So I'm a couple 100,000 down, get the point. Happy days.
It was a wild guess. Harry was several more 100,000 out, but it's still not bad. I mean, not having any basis to put that
I just
on.
kind of went on a percentage of the population and just randomly picked, but I wouldn't have had any idea what the actual number was. So it's interesting. It's not that many.
No, I mean, it includes both commercial and recreational users. And as you guys know, any drone over 250 grams, you need to get a license, or any over 100 grams, that includes a camera, you also need a license. I didn't realise also if you got a smaller drone, you need something as well, which is called the Flyer ID. So any drone over 100 grams, you do need something for that, irrespective of whether it's got a camera or not. So well done, James, on that one. The final question, where in the world, which bridge was I talking about, Harry?
I couldn't remember the name, but I know it was San Francisco, but it's the Golden Gate Bridge, because I remember
weasel. He's such a weasel.
Pictures of the net.
James?
Yeah, I wrote the Golden Gate Bridge. There it is. See, at the bottom.
GGB. Look at you with your acronyms. You are both correct. So let me just tot up this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me give you some facts before I do this, actually, not that you can't quite tell. The bridge, it was originally, did you know, it was originally planned to be painted black and yellow, the Golden Gate Bridge, so that it could be more easily seen by the Navy, just in case they couldn't see it in orange.
Let's see this whacking great bridge.
Well, did not a Navy bang into a bridge in America last year?
I'd have thought, they did. Yeah, they did in Baltimore.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's right. So it was ultimately painted orange to blend in with the adjacent hills.
What does that do for the Air Force?
For the Navy. I know, we're just thinking of the Navy and not the Air Force. Anyway, 4 points to James, 3 points, Harry. So that was a close thing. But congratulations to James on your win, James.
The questions are getting a bit easy now, Ruth. I think you need to up your game.
Am I running out of steam a little bit? I tell you what, the AI ones are getting quite difficult, trying to find something that is, potentially within your range of finding out. I have had, to be fair, I've had questions sent in from people which are too far out of your range of.
What does that mean?
Be able to get it right.
How
well,
dare
take
you?
it as it sounds. You wouldn't. Either of you would know. And I'm just thinking this is a good question, but it's not entirely fair because you just. Do you
think the last month of this year we've got to do everybody on the quiz at once somehow?
I reckon. I mean, it might not be physically possible to have everyone together at one time, but if possible, I want to try and get more than a couple of you and at least do the quiz together because that would be fun. Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. But anyway, as I say, if you do have any suggestions for the quiz, do get in touch because we are, as you said, slightly running out of steam. We're going to carry on into next year's podcast, but I think we're going to change it a little bit to make it a bit more challenging for the chaps who are complaining that they're, it's not stretching their brains enough. So do get in touch. The email address is podcast@mc2photography.com. We would love to hear from you, and do let us know as well if you are playing along, if you managed to score higher than James. I don't think anyone's got 5 so far. Nobody's actually done a clean sweep, and certainly no one's got bonus points so far. But if you have, get in touch, let us know. I will be back next month with a brand new set of questions.
The Photography Online Podcast, in partnership with Kingjoy Tripods.
Yeah, as we say, all the Photography Online podcasts in 2025 have been in partnership with Kingjoy Tripods. Now, tripods? What's a tripod? That sounds like a new thing. I've been researching drum pads this month. That's the problem. It's
why? Sorry to go off topic. Why?
Potential present ideas. Let's just leave it there.
Fair enough.
Not for yourself, James. But anyway, yes, we've talked about tripods this year, obviously, from lightweight ones to super heavyweights, extra tall, all sorts of things we've been talking about actually over the last few months. But the most popular tripod that we sell, and the most popular one that we rent out to people when we're doing our trips and things as well, is the Kingjoy C85. It is just the perfect balance between lightweight and heavyweight. Ticks all the boxes for the average photographer and is always the best-selling one on our website. Carbon fibre weighs just over 2 kilograms, 4.7 pounds for people that do things that way. 56 centimetres long when it's closed up and opens up to 154. So perfect for all your average photographer needs. Not that I'm calling either of you guys average, but that's kind of the rough scope that you work
Ruth,
within,
I have to correct you there. It's more. it's not just average photographer needs. These things will cover just about any scenario. Specifically, if you change the heads on them, they'll do anything. That tripod, the new version of it, as you know, I use an older version of it because, I'm a trooper.
You're a trooper, and it's still going strong.
And it's still going as strong as ever. Funnily enough, it's never broken, unlike every other tripod I've ever had, other brands wise. But I was using the new C85 just this weekend gone with a customer out in some pretty inclement weather, and the slippy legs and the quarter twists, it's a joy to use. It really is. So I might have to retire the other one gracefully, put a little flat table on it, use it as a side table or something.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. I've used tripods before for one of the shows that we do, and put a monitor on top. You get like you say, a plate, put it on top.
Yep.
Works absolutely perfectly. It could be a new item for the photographer's living room. What do you call it? The furniture, the look, the aesthetic, the decor, the tripod table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's a very good idea. Flat plate on top, a little bit of mahogany on top of my old tripod. Hey, there you go.
There's an Etsy idea for you, James.
Yep.
Anyway, if you want to know what else is available on the Kingjoy Professional lineup, or to check out the C85 or any of the other ones we've got on there, do check out the Photography Online shop if you are here in the UK, or go to kingjoy.com for international sales, or to find out your nearest dealer.
Listeners from an unlikely location.
All right, well, it is that time that James seems to enjoy, because it's time where I try to say things in various languages. We like to say hello to listeners from the more unexpected corners of the world that we find are tuning into the podcast. So last month, we had somebody listening in. Did we do this before? Did we do Nepal before, Harry? Can you remember? I seem to remember you getting excited.
No, I don't know if we've done Nepal, but
maybe not Nepal.
It's a good one.
There was someone listening, though, last month from Nepal. So, Namaskar, I believe, is how you say it. James is bowing. Thank you, James. Namaskar to you if you're the one listening from Nepal. Someone also listening from Montenegro. I had some trouble actually finding how to say this because Google does not comply, and I had to resort to other means, which we shan't go into. Anyway, Dobrodošli, I think it is. That's welcome in Montenegrin to you. Very, very good to have you. If you are either of these people, do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Wherever you're listening from, always so good to have you. Do get in touch. Tell us about yourself. We did have some people getting in touch via email. We had Dirk. I like the name Dirk. That's a
strong name, yeah.
It's a strong name, yeah. Dirk Venter. He says, I'm an amateur photographer, not a snapper. This is alluding to what we were talking about last month. Eager listener to your podcast and viewer of your YouTube channel. I'm from Middelburg, South Africa, and wondering if there's any other listeners from South Africa. I listen to your podcast on the way to and from work. If there's time afterwards, I listen to the podcast again in more detail. Please continue with your shows. Excited for your new format next year. We had Gregor got in touch, Gregor Booze. He was just listening to one of the older episodes on the podcast. We were talking about the Leica Monopan 50, which was Leica's first ever branded film under their name. He said it's actually a Leica branded ADOX HR50, which is another brand of film, and the Leica logo nearly doubles the price. One roll of HR50 costs €6.99, this is euros. One roll of Monopan 50 costs €12. The data sheets are absolutely identical, which is really interesting, Gregor. Thank you for letting us know about that. Elia got in touch as well. He said, hi team, love your show, find it informative and inspiring. I particularly appreciate the honest/transparent approach you take. It's ultimately the passion for photography and the love and admiration the team show for one another. I think he's maybe taken that slightly.
Right?
I know.
Right? What was this correspondent's name?
This was Elia.
Don't worry, the nurses and doctors are on their way around to help him out.
Love and admiration that we show for each other turns out to be entertaining. The facade, it's not a facade, Elia, of teasing one another, displays the true respect you all have for one another. It doesn't just make me want to take photos, but take photos with other photographers. Thank you for the incredible work that you do. So thank you, Elia, for that. I will say, it's...
The teasing is the only joy I get out of my day.
It is true. None of this is manufactured. It's all legitimate. Glad you enjoy it. Adam got in touch. Adam Pakenham said, just want to say how much I've enjoyed this year's podcast and YouTube show. The photo challenge for me was very entertaining, and I'm okay with a royal connection as they captured Westminster Palace and a crown. This is obviously talking about the main show, their YouTube show, and the challenge which we completed, or the lads completed, just in our last month. I also very much enjoyed the podcast last month with Chris Sale as a special guest. Looking forward to next year's shows. So thank you to everyone that got in touch about the podcast, about the show as well. We do always appreciate it. Comment or email podcast@mc2photography.com. We do love to hear from you. As we said, we'll be carrying on with this next year. I forget when we do it. First Sunday of every month. It used to come out at the same time as the YouTube show, but obviously if you've been listening or watching the YouTube show, we're changing that format up a little bit next month. But the podcast is carrying on, same time. It will also come out on YouTube at the same time, so that used to be delayed by a week for various reasons, but that's all coming out together. First Sunday of the month in the morning. First thing you want to do on a Sunday morning, obviously, listen to us. But you know what? It's one podcast. I don't enjoy listening to myself in general or watching myself, but for some reason the podcast I quite enjoy listening back to it. Anyway, thank you everyone that got in touch about that, and do keep it coming. We're going to move on to our gear section. This has got a few items, I think, kind of potentially Christmas gift ideas. Not technically, we're going to get closer to that in our next podcast, but let's have a wee look at some gear.
It may be new, it may even be exciting, but does the world really need it?
Right, Seamus, James, what's our first item up here?
Seamus, you remind me of my mother, Ruth.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sure, she's marvellous.
It's the split ends.
All right, less laughing from you, Harry.
So the first item, I'll keep it going so Ruth doesn't have to edit all this nonsense out, it's Yashica FXD, and it is described as your first digital film simulation camera. So basically it's a digital camera that has a load of settings in it to output a feel of film. So, you know, what is there to say about this, really?
Well, Yashica's an old name, right? Yashica's not a name we've seen very much
I was about to say that the key thing to this is that, there's a lot of this sort of gimmicky stuff going around at the moment, and we don't know whether this is good or bad because we haven't tested one, so we can't really pass judgment on that. It's a Kickstarter thing. Is it a Kickstarter thing, or YouTube?
At the moment, yes.
Yep. Okay, so it's raised.
The funding's just ended, so
so it's raised
soon.
£500,000 or whatever. That's great. But the best thing of all about it, as I know I sound like a bit of a broken record each time I do this podcast, but is innovation and camera manufacturers getting back into the market. And Yashica has been around for, I think, probably even before my time. Now, I think it's been around since the end of the war, basically. Actually,
a long time. They're a big name, really.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was probably even in the 1940s, actually, but the early 50s. But no doubt our listeners will know that. But basically, what I'm pleased about is that these camera brands, and Yashica had a reputation for not being Canon and not being Nikon and not being Leica, but being this rugged, sturdy kind of Skoda-esque, Lada-esque type camera.
For those not in the UK or Eastern Europe, Skoda and Lada were the kind of slightly bottom of the barrel cars at one time. But then, James, they returned with a bang and did very well
absolutely, yeah. So, you know, we can't really pass judgment on it. I can pass judgment on the cameras of old, which were big, clunky, and quite reliable, to be honest. But they were big and heavy and kind of, felt quite angular in the hand. But the key thing is that these manufacturers, and even via a Kickstarter program, are innovating and keeping people interested in photography. And for that, Yashica can be applauded. The fact that it is a digital camera that, produces film, I would be tempted to say go and buy an old Yashica camera then and not bother with this one. But hey,
it's appealing to a different demographic than yourself,
it
I think,
is.
James.
And it was quite interesting taking a chap out who had an old, a Pentax MX over the weekend, a film camera, and running through how you go about taking film style pictures with a film in mind, and then the number of times he looked at the back of the camera. It's quite amusing, really, to see what he just taken.
Just instinct.
Yeah, by instinct. Yeah. It's quite amusing. So if this who knows? We'll try one day, no doubt. We'll get our hands on one and see what happens.
I initially thought it was going to be, we've covered quite a few of these analog to digital converted cameras and stuff you can slap on, and I thought, this is just another gimmick. And because it does look it initially, they've stuck an old film advance lever on the top of the body, and so it won't let you take another photograph until you wind on.
So it slows you down.
In inverted commas. Yeah, I think they quote and they say this lever invites you to slow your process down and pause to enjoy the moment, something like that, which I think is quite. I mean, wouldn't then be able to shoot a nice bit of wildlife on it? Click and it's no motor drive I can stick on this one.
You don't need, Harry. It's about timing wildlife photography. It's not about 30 frames per second. Come on, you know that.
Yes, of course. And so it's 3 different model cameras. I've just been scrolling down. It's quite a big page of info they've got here with all the different film simulations that they are replicating in the camera. But they've got an initial sort of lower end camera, which is, I think, starting in a region of $250, and it's just a 13 megapixel, everyday point and click, as it were. But they're also bringing out a 50 megapixel version, a high resolution, which they say is built for professionals who need more detail. So it'd be really interesting to see what the quality of image out of that is. And even there's 2 versions of that, one with electronic viewfinder and one without, and I think they start at about $550.
It's not a bad price point for that amount of.
James, do you know what is it? Is it just got a fixed lens on it, or is it?
I don't know. It's like you said, there's pages of it, and it takes you down rabbit warrens as soon as you click on anything. So I think it probably is an interchangeable lens. I'm guessing it is, but it might be a case if they need to get their funding sorted or in place or whatever. I'm not entirely sure, but they're certainly going ahead with it, I believe, from what I can see on the website. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be shipping quite soon. So.
And they've been capturing moments since 1949. There you go. So
I got to say, I was quite impressed by their promotional video, which doesn't give you any information whatsoever. But they've obviously had a song written especially for them. And I remember listening to it thinking, this is just a song they found somewhere and they've licensed it. But no, it's got Yashica in the middle of it. And it's obviously, I find it interesting how they promote things these days. They obviously know they don't need to just give information, but if they can get a catchy enough commercial going, which is a whole other rabbit warren anyway. But yeah, no, the Yashica.
It is a fixed 24mm lens, just for those that want to know.
That's cool. I like the look of it. It is interesting.
Which is nice, yeah.
Yeah, so potential idea, and again you can get a link if you're interested in seeing more in the show notes, so check that out. That's the Yashica FXD, which stands for film something. It does stand for something.
Film times digital, is it? FXD?
Something digital, film exposure, I can't remember, but FXD Yashica, have a look for it, or click on the link in the usual place. Harry, speaking of a demographic that James is not a part of, this is another sorry James, maybe you would like one of these, but tell us all about this next item, because it's been kind of blowing up all over the place.
Yeah, and I can't remember if we featured it when it initially came out for pre-orders, but I don't think we did. This is the Kodak Charmerer, which is a tiny camera, or retro-styled Kodak instant camera on a keychain. And when it initially came out, it was so popular it sold out in a day, and they have apparently opened up pre-orders for a second round. But I think, as you were saying, Ruth, just before we started recording, that's already the pre-orders have sold out as well. And now you can only get them, aftermarket for... You
can get them used for twice the price. I think they were $30 at first. They're now $69, $70, $55 kind of pound mark, which is crazy. But ultimate Christmas gift, it seems like. What's this all about, Harry? It's a digital camera? Can you see the images?
Yeah, so it is just a very small camera. It's only got a tiny... It's a 1.6 megapixel quarter-inch sensor. And they are deliberately low resolution, lo-fi snapshots, essentially that really old click and snap as you go, funky colours, and probably pretty soft and hazy throughout. but the actual retail price is only meant to be $30 or £30 in the UK. And they come in a few different designs, but you can't choose which design. It comes in a blind box, so you just buy and you will get one of 6.
And that's actually part of their selling point, isn't it? This is
Exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, it seems to be a trend and things that people like at the moment. This sort of blind box style of stuff, and comes with a keychain you just clip on, and so it is literally that small. It's smaller than your car key. How you get the images off, I don't know. I assume you can plug it in by USB-C or something like that. It doesn't say in the article I've got, but. Yeah, just literally on your car keys, you're always going to have it with you, or on any set of keys. But as you say, it's almost impossible to get hold of.
And they are limiting them. You can only buy 2, a maximum of 2, I think, for the pre-orders now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's coming up to Christmas. It's going to be, best time of year for them, obviously. But I think it's blown up more than they expected as well.
Oh, I've just on the
USB-C cable. It's the connection. So it's not a card. It's a USB-C.
You can buy a whole set collection box for $180, so you get every design.
Oh, right. Okay, James, you and Marcus, for your team whom you love, you can buy a box.
Something's breaking up. What are we moving on to the next thing, are we?
Oh, the designs are cool. Oh, see, look, this is why this is dangerous for me to do this feature, because I end up with something on my shopping list.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna try and get one of these.
Yeah, add that to your. You were going to buy a little tripod credit card thing as well. Did you ever do that?
Yeah, that's still on. No, it's still on my shopping list. And do you remember we also covered something very similar to this? You get a little camera keychain thing
from a vending machine.
Those vending machine ones over in Japan.
Those
that I really
Nikons.
wanted to.
Yeah,
and but that's quite an expensive plane ticket to go and just get a little vending machine toy. So bring it into the McDonald's Happy Meals, I say.
That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Anyway, lots of gift ideas coming on. This next item is a very, very interesting one, which I noticed a couple of weeks ago and did not at all expect to see. So we had this one on our list. James, tell us all about it.
So it's Kase, our friends, the filter manufacturers, have brought out a lens, an 85mm 1.4. It's an affordable full-frame portrait prime. So it's great, it's what an innovation. Another company is producing glass. I mean, I haven't tried one. I'd be extremely excited to do so. It fits both full frame and APS-C. I always have to be corrected on these things. Is that right, Harry? It is, isn't it?
That is right.
Yes.
Yeah. So right. Once again, it's very hard to pass any judgment on this without trying it, but I suspect we may well be able to try this one, so we can get our hands on one of these and test it out. I just love the fact that these companies are doing this and are trying it. Like Sigma are producing a whole range of different lenses constantly. I know there's a bit of a thing with with Canon and their RF lens mounts with Sigma, but long may it continue that these companies experiment, dip their toes in the sort of sales markety world of producing new glass, because in the end it's all very well all of these different cameras, and talking about the R100 for example as a good entry level camera, which I'd never seen anything. Your review on it, Harry, on the main show was fantastic, and it's hard to imagine that for that price point, I know the price point's changed and all of that, but for roughly 500 quid or whatever it is, to get a camera like that, that Canon have decided to try and draw people into the world of photography. And I think Kase, by releasing this lens, are doing much the same sort of thing. And yeah, until I can try it out, who knows? But 85mm at 1.4 is probably, 35mm is my first sort of choice of focal length. But I would then immediately go to 85 anyway. So I'm actually, Ruth, really excited to try one of these out one day and see what it's like. And particularly not just corner to corner and do some scientific, Marcusy, boring comparison-y thing. Although he's not quite as boring as other people that do lens comparisons. But I want to see what the rendition in the middle of this piece of glass is like. So shooting it at f2, using the center piece of glass, see how it comes out, see how it records the colors, see whether it's over sharp or not, because a lot of modern lenses, a lot of your RF lenses, and I know Harry and I had a conversation about Canon's RF lenses the other day, and they can almost be too sharp. So it'd be interesting to see how this lens fares in the real world.
And it's worth mentioning that it's available for $738. So I would say kind of middle of the pack.
Yeah, so it's not super cheap.
There are cheaper options available, but many of them aren't, of these third-party companies essentially, are not autofocus enabled. And so, the likes of Samyang and Viltrox, they do varying different versions of lens, but not all of them are autofocus enabled, which this is.
Which drops the price down to about 500 quid, I think, for them. So, and I'm just reading about the mounts as well, that, for the Sony, Nikon users, you're going to be in luck. For the Canon users, I'm presuming.
I think we're still fresh out of luck at the moment.
Yeah, Fuji's also, I believe. So until Canon drops its guard a little bit, takes a little bit of barbed wire down from around that big Canon factory in Japan and actually lets people get their hands on the tech needed to put it on the back of a piece of glass, then we will have to hang on. But nonetheless, I'd still be very interested to try it, even if it is attached to a body that I'd have no idea how to use.
But being Kase, of course, and that they make filters predominantly, what I really like the look of is the fact that it has a magnetic ring built into the front of the lens. So you don't need one of these adapters, magnetic adapter rings that you need to screw on the front. You can just whack on magnetic filters, and presumably it will work with other magnetic filters as well, not just Kases, which I think is a great idea. If most filter brands are transitioning to that sort of thing, so you'd hope that that little piece of tech could feature in many lenses and all save us a faff of having to screw on adapter rings.
Have you got a step-up ring? Have you got a step-up ring?
Yeah,
step it up,
so
step
annoying.
it down. The other thing I really like about the look of this lens is that it appears to have a really big manual override focus on the front of it. I'm guessing that's what it is. So there's a big grip on the front of it, because I'm quite a fan of manually overriding focus for a variety of reasons we don't need to go into now. But I like a lens that you can focus manually easily. So quite excited. And I wonder what they'll do next, because I find it hard to believe they're just bringing out a single lens. So there must be others.
600mm f2.8.
Is it? There you go.
No.
I was going to say, what? It would be f4, surely, if they were going to do that. So, but anyway, you had me for a second there.
Okay, so that was Kase's first prime lens. Again, links in the show notes if you are intrigued. We're going to move on to something which I had kind of thoughts about including or not, but this is apparently a legitimate item, Harry, but it's got some interesting promotional things attached to it, shall we say. Tell us all about it.
Sorry, I was completely distracted. I'm still looking at the Kodak keychain. It does video as well, apparently.
No.
It says both stills and video. It's in my pre-order box. And right, yes, we're on a brand called Uncommon Sense, who have released the Belt 2.0. Well, I'd really love to see the Belt 1.0, but I never saw that. So it is supposedly a utility belt for photographers and videographers. And what seems to have caught Ruth's eye anyway is the fact that the promotional images...
The gentleman's caught Ruth's eye, has he?
Yeah, the images are not of, somebody actually using photography gear and, out on location, but of two models, a guy and a girl, and the chap's just wearing a pair of chino trousers and no top, and the lady's just in a underwear onesie type thing.
You're so funny, Harry. Harry's description of clothes is just priceless.
I wear walking trousers all the time, and this belt just slapped on them, and there's a couple more, but there's somebody standing in this absolutely ridiculous, slightly sparkly, flimsy suit with a see-through T-shirt, and I'm not. There's nowhere is there actually a photograph or an image of actually the pouches and the belt in action and how it's meant to be used, and so I find it's quite strange branding. The standalone belt that you just buy comes with 3 different pouches apparently on the belt, but then you can buy extra pouches and accessories as well.
Harry, if you actually just Google uncommon sense belt and go to images, the pictures are even worse. There's a guy hanging out of a bath holding it. There's a pair of orange legs sticking up from a bush with them hanging around the ankles.
Oh my God, there's people blindfolded with it.
It's as far as I found this on a photography blog. I think I was looking for new photography gift ideas, and this is a legitimate item. Whom this person really enjoys this as a thing that they use. I think for wedding photography. There must be out there legitimate reviews and all the rest of it, but yes, you're right. The website itself is...
This one here is just a lady in like tight leather pants and nothing else with the belt on.
Oh, if only you could see his little face grinning away.
But it's supposed to be a legitimate item.
Little tartan skirt.
I think the product looks all right, to be fair to it. I mean, until, as with all products, until you're actually hands-on, it's very hard to know. Basically, photography's used sex to sell itself, since its inception, really, but the sort of sexual element's always been in front of the camera. Now it's behind the camera. That's the only real difference with the models who are using these products. The belt, I'm not going to click on the one that says pouches. I'm not clicking on that tab. But you know what? The products look okay. I quite like the ad campaign for it and the photography they've done for it. It's very fashion orientated, fast-moving, pacey videos, some quite interesting stills, interesting use of colours, interesting use of light and shadows. The stylist, it wasn't Marcus.
Well, it's clearly
let's put it
caught
that
our
way.
attention because we're talking about it.
I know,
so.
they've done. It's a good job and good luck to them. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, it is basically
expensive.
It's Ann Summers for I don't know, your utility belts.
What is the price? 300 and I'm in euros for some reason. It's not cheap for being a belt with some utility pouches on, but do you not think though, Harry, that for a photography company to go down this road, good luck to them, because there's nothing overtly out of taste, or there's nothing overtly sexist about it at all. There isn't.
So
as a photography company, it's an interesting take on it, and at the moment that is the only product they produce. So it'd be interesting to see if that's going to be expanded into other areas.
It's like you say, the ad campaign is unique and novel and does capture attention. €309 to hold your batteries, not so sure about that, but you can check it out for yourself. Uncommon Sense Belt, and again, links in the usual place. Anyway, final gear item for the November podcast. James, classy brand here. What have we got?
Leica. So we're back to Leica, and all these companies reinventing themselves yet again. So Leica have produced, it says it's instant coffee, instant noodles, and now instant Leica. So everything has to be instant.
That's not Leica's strapline, I have to say. That's just on the article.
No, it's not. Leica doesn't make coffee. No,
I mean, it's a little white Polaroid style camera with a red dot on it. So yeah, it looks cool. It does look cool. It would look cool in the hands of the models from the previous feature we were just talking about. Yes. In my hands, I'm not sure, with a slightly receding hairline, a little fat belly, it would look quite so cool. But I could give it a go. I wouldn't mind trying it. Why not? I used to spend my life shooting Polaroids before shooting actual film, so I do quite like that side of it. The fact it produces them, so why not? Yeah, I'd be happy to give it a try. But other than that, it's just a reinvention of many other Polaroid cameras that have come out over the last year or two, many of which we've mentioned on this podcast, but it's got that all-important red dot and, I believe, a piece of Leica glass in it.
But it's also, it doesn't just print the picture, it doesn't just spit it out like many other cameras. It's got internal memory and an SD card, and so you can choose what you want to print, which is, I know a couple of other cameras are doing that, but it's definitely a selling point compared to many other ones.
Yeah, but it's not unique in that. That was my point, that we've mentioned many of the other ones before. But it's Leica. Yeah, it's just the unique thing about it is it does actually look quite styled and different. And the styling of it is not overly dissimilar to the belt and the pouches of the previous, whatever they were called now. So the young lady in I know. Been slightly mildly distracted by that ad campaign, so it's a good job we're onto the last feature here. But yeah, it's innovative, and therefore, why not?
4.9 megapixels is not bad for essentially what you're going to just spit out a small piece of...
For a Polaroid, basically, yeah.
And I'm guessing you can also choose to print that yourself.
And so we were talking about the rebranded film, because they do a Leica branded Instax film that goes in it, but it is literally just a repackaged Fuji Instax films. But yeah, of course, you put the Leica name on it, and it about doubles in price.
$400, buddy. $400.
It is on the more expensive end, considering you can get some of these Polaroid type cameras for under $100, £100. Then this is expensive, but it's you're not going to expect something from Leica to be on the budget end, and it's clearly designed for people that like that.
It's a Leica stocking stuffer.
That build.
Yeah,
and they produce beautiful lenses. And what I have heard about this is that, as with other Polaroid cameras, most others, you get a lot of variability in the colour and the overall quality of the photograph, and this is meant to be a bit more consistent. Whether that's a good or a bad thing is kind of dependent on the person. I quite like the unpredictability of what you're going to get with some of these Polaroid type shots, but it's annoying to waste little bits of film every time you take something and print it, and then it's not quite what you wanted. But this is supposedly relatively consistent in that term.
What's it made of? What material, Harry?
Like galvanized luminarium, or what? I don't know.
You see if you can find to read it, because it's amazing.
Oh, there it is. Excellent. Polycarbonate frame with polymethyl methacrylate front and back cover.
Oh, well done.
Plastic, basically. It's made out of plastic, folks.
Yeah. Anyway, that's called the Leica Sofort 2 instant camera. So if you are looking for a stocking stuffer for someone in your life that you don't mind spending a little bit of money on, James would even buy me and Harry the Charmera, the Charmera, the
$30 Charmera.
Anyway, that's our gear items for this month, and if you want to look at any more of them or see more details on any of them, they are in the show notes as usual, along with our news stories from earlier on in the show, so do check those out. This is usually the point in the podcast where I tell you what's coming up on next month's Photography Online, but as we said earlier, and if you've been watching the show at all, we're in October, or we're in November in fact, and so a couple of months we're not putting the show out, so we can basically get to work. We're out and about doing lots of trips and getting ready for next year in fact, so we're already doing that, but no new shows out until January on that front. However, podcast is coming out again next month as usual, so we'll tuning back in for that, doing another quiz, see where we get on there. We'll try and get a couple more people in if we can possibly do it. Not always possible, but we'll see. Anyway, so until next time, take good care, but most of all, take good photos.
You've been listening to the Photography Online podcast in partnership with Kingjoy Tripods.